Hi there, Michelle here, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I am going to be comparing my first crochet projects with my current crochet projects. This week, I am actually working on my knitted roomy raglan, so I don't have any time to be making or crocheting or knitting anything else. I just want to focus on that roomy raglan. Instead of doing a crochet video, I thought it'd be a good idea to maybe compare my old projects and my new projects, and I kind of want to see like where I've changed in my style of crocheting and like where I've improved, and like kind of just see where I started, because this channel started as a thrifting channel way back in the day. I started getting into crocheting and then I kind of just stopped doing the thrifting. Not that I don't thrift anymore, it's just I don't do like these big thrift hauls. I'll go to a thrift store, maybe find like one shirt, and it's like, can't really do a thrift haul video if I find one thing. This is more of like a crocheting knitting channel now, and it has been for quite some time. If you are new to my channel and you like crocheting and knitting and yarn and thrifting and the 80s and all that jazz, why not hit the subscribe button? I think I'm gonna start this off with the very first crochet project that I've ever done for my channel, and this was a tutorial for a daisy bandana. This was my very first crochet project for my channel. And at the time, this Patons yarn that I used was like very thin yarn to me. Like it was super thin yarn to me, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm never getting anything done with like super thin yarn like this. I would choose different yarn. I would use smaller yarn. I probably would also use cotton yarn. The back, I crocheted them together. What would I would do now? I would probably mattress stitch them together, or I would do join as you go. Most likely, I probably would do join as you go. Now, the latest bandana that I made was this one. This is a filet crochet bandana. This was part of my cotton yarn review video. I believe this is Cotton Fair yarn by Premier Yarns. Okay, it's almost like the same size as the first one that I made. Because it is made out of a lighter weight material, it's so much lighter. And I know two different things, granny squares, filet crochet. The yarn that I use is just so much heavier than this yarn, and if I were to remake it, I probably would use this lighter weight cotton with it. The next one is some bags. I'm gonna go over the bag project because I've made so many tote bags and crochet bags and granny square bags over the years that I think this is a good one to go over. This was my very first granny square bag, first crochet and granny square bag. Now this bag was actually supposed to be a sweater. I started making these and it was going to end up being like this sunflower sweater. We'll get into this one, but this one was originally supposed to be this. I originally started making these to make this project, and then I was like, I don't want to crochet these anymore. This is taking way too long. Sweet naive Michelle. If only she knew about knitting at the time, how long that takes. But yeah, I was getting really bored at making these, that I'm like, okay, how many do I have? All right, I gotta make a few more. Let's just make a bag instead. As you can see, there is no lining in it. And I crocheted the handles, and then I sewed the handles on with yarn. I love the colors. It looks so good. Maybe I should start using it again. Although I do notice that there's a lot of yarn ends that I did not weave in. I might have woven in them a little bit and then cut them, but I didn't do it as like good as I do now. This is a bag that I made also in 2021. So here is this type of granny square bag. And then a bag that I made about a year later in 2022, I think, was this one here. This was either 2022 or 2023. I can't really remember. I did like the checkered print. I think it is pretty cute. I don't think I'd pick these two colors now. I think I would pick like maybe like this beautiful purple with like a brown. Like I would do that. Again, no lining, and I crocheted the handles and then sewed them on. But as you can see, they have really stretched out. These were not this long when I made it. And then this one here, I also tried to make a side and a bottom of the bag, which, you know, was pretty good for me at the time. But I think if I were to do it now, I would take the whole bottom and side off, and instead I would crochet them together on the outside and have like a nice edge on it, and it would look kind of more on purpose. And I think that the sides and the front and the bottom of the bag would all look separate, because like right now it just looks like just one flat piece. So these are two of the earliest bags that I made. Then the latest bag that I made was this one here. It is the all-in-one Sweethearts Granny Square yarn by Red Heart. The color here is called Candy Heart, and then I added this beautiful periwinkle purple, which is by Loops and Threads Soft Classics. And what I've done differently between these two, because they're both like granny square bags, is this one I actually sewed the squares together, and this one I did the join as you go. When I was done the join as you go, instead of cutting the yarn and doing the handles, I just continued on the top and did the handles. So it would go like, if I stopped here, I think I went around twice, and then I chained 80 for each handle and did a bunch of rows. Okay, I have a video that I just put out on this, so if you're interested in it, I explain in way more detail. I don't want to get like in too much detail of everything I did. Again, with the handles, this one here, I actually did like back and forth. So I went this way, then this way, this way. It really stretched out. I also did it in double crochet. I wouldn't recommend double crochet for handles. So this one here, I did single crochets, but instead of going back and forth, I went like up and down like this, which I think creates a more sturdier handle. Another bag that I want to talk about is this one. Here it is my waffle bag, which I've seen a lot of people recreate and sell, which is like, it's a waffle pattern. I can't really be like, no, I made that first, because it's a waffle bag. But I do see a lot of people put like the little butter patch in the same spot. And I'm like, I wonder where they got that idea from. It's me, they got it from me. I'm the original person of this one. Not waffle stitch, but I am the original creator of this bag. So if anyone was wondering, oh, I've seen that bag before, it's because I made it and other people make it now. Which is, again, I'm not gonna make it for people, so if someone else wants to make it for someone, go for it, because I'm not. The reason why I bring this one up is it's the first project that I put a lining in, and this is a pillowcase, because it's what I had at the time. And I hand sewed it in, and then I also made these handles, but again, I did the back and forth, and I think I did half double crochet. I wanted to show you this bag because this is not how I make my tote bags anymore. I make my tote bags like this. So this is my most recent tote bag that I made. It is a Heated Rivalry tote bag. It says, I'm coming to the cottage. Love it. And there's some loons on it. And nowadays, as you can see with my lining, this also has loon lining. I actually sewed it in the sewing machine to the project. And then I also use these types of straps. These are these like canvas straps. They don't stretch and it works great. Whereas these ones, they obviously stretch. I think it'd be great if I could redo the lining of this bag and the handles as well. So maybe I would use it more, just because if I try to put something in it, it stretches a little bit too much. Also, the yarn that I use is like super chunky. I don't think I would ever use this chunky of yarn anymore. But yeah, so I just wanted to show you the difference between like the handles and how I do the lining of the bags. Here is the one bag. I know I don't have to do a try on, but as you can see, because of the handles, very stretched. You put anything in here and this bag just goes down. This bag that has the lining in it and the strap, this isn't going anywhere. This is going places, not the places it needs to go to. So like this one, nice, I can put whatever I want in. It's not gonna stretch, it's not going to misshapen. It's gonna stay where it needs to stay. Where this one, it's gonna change. Let's do some sweaters. I think the sweaters are the next thing that I ended up doing on my channel. I'm kind of going in order of when I did things on my channel. This was my very first sweater cardigan that I ever crocheted. Really dived in there with this one, and I can see so many ends that I did not weave in. There's so many problems with this, but I don't think I would ever take it apart because I don't wear it enough to want to do that. Also, my color choices would have definitely been different. I can't believe I made this. It is really cute. It's just there's a lot of things that I would change. This one, I sewed them all together, or did I crochet? Oh, I crocheted them together. When you crochet granny squares, it just makes the seams a lot bulkier. So that's why I would highly suggest either mattress stitch your granny squares together or do a join as you go, whatever you're more comfortable with. Because I know join as you go can be a little difficult. And for me, I have to keep watching tutorials on how to do join as you go because every time I do it, I completely forget. There's some things I would change. Like, for instance, the top part, I don't think I would do it the way it is anymore. I found like a better way to do my collars. So I would definitely do that. Just the way like it kind of sits, it sits a little weird. I definitely think my ribbing has improved. As you can see, like the ribbing is very like stretched out, and I would definitely cinch in the ribbing a lot more to create a tighter cuff. Coloring wise, I would have done the dark brown in the center for the border color, and I definitely would have done join as you go instead of sewing things together. This one actually fits pretty good. The only problem I have is like the neck. I really don't like this. Just something about this neckline I'm not the biggest fan of. I love it when there's just a little bit more of a collar. What I would change on this is one, buttons, change the type of collar, and do the ribbing a little bit tighter. And then right after I made that sweater, I went right into this one. This one's pretty cool. I do like it. There are some things that I would love to change on it that may or may not happen. I did not weave in any ends. I just tied them really tight and I knotted them. I also crocheted the squares together. Again, nowadays I would have definitely sewn them together. This is actually the first time that I ever did a traditional granny square. I know, I went from sunflower granny squares before I even just did the traditional granny square that y'all know that I love. And so when I was making it, I thought it was like the coolest pattern ever, and I'm just like, wow, like this is so neat and new to me, and like I love this, not realizing the chokehold that it will have on me for the rest of my life. But here I am. I might actually go back and add this to one of my fixing projects that I do want to do sooner than later, because there's a few other projects that I would also like to fix. This one here, I didn't do a ribbed button band, and to be honest, I think it was because I didn't feel like it. I'm like, I'm done. I don't want to do a button band, so I didn't do one. Instead, I think I just did some double crochets around here. When I did the cuffs, I did this one right and I did this one wrong. And by wrong, I mean I did it the wrong way. So you can kind of see like that type of stitching. That's because I did it inside out, and you're supposed to have it like, you see like how that is. Although this cuff here did teach me what not to do, so that's great. I also think that going forward with my cuffs, what I like to do now is if I'm doing a cuff color that is different than the actual color, so like these two, it doesn't matter because it's black on black, because this is black on white, what I would do now is I would just do a simple single crochet around the cuff and then start my ribbing. So then that way I don't get like these little bumps sticking out. It would look more flat, if that makes sense. And this one was also made in 2021. Actually, these were both made in 2021. The cuffs are actually not that bad. I like how billowy this is. I think the sleeves might be a little long. Look how bunched that is. I also would do a nicer button band than this. I want to do maybe some single crochets, because that's how I do my button bands now. I think the length is good. It's very flowy. I do like this. Things I would change on this is obviously take a whole row of these off. I don't think they stretched over time though. That's the thing though, because I haven't worn it enough for them to stretch like this. I think they've always been like this. Well, first off, I would take this cuff off because that's the one that I messed up on and I never fixed it. So I want to fix that. I would take the last row of granny squares off, make the cuff thicker and tighter, and I would also take the border off and redo the border in some rows of single crochets, so they're about this much, you know, same kind of like the ribbing at the bottom, and add some buttons. So this one here is quite an easy fix to do, but I do like this one. I think the main thing is I made the sleeves just a little too long. And then I do have one more sweater that I want to talk about, which I actually did right after this one. That is this here. This is actually a thrift flip. Back in 2021, before I even did these sweaters here, I thrifted a sweater, and then I ended up making these strawberries. Remember that strawberry sweater that a lot of people had? I was obsessed with it and I wanted it, and I decided just to make it myself. So somehow I made these strawberries. Don't ask me how. I mean, I think I have a tutorial on how to do it, so ask past Michelle. Maybe she knows something, because I don't remember. And so I put them on this sweater, and then I realized I don't like the sweater. I want it to be a cardigan. So I took all the strawberries off, and then I took apart that cardigan and harvested the yarn for this. I didn't do the thing which you're supposed to do, is I'm pretty sure after you yarn it up, you're supposed to put it in like a loop, you know, like a skein of yarn before you twist it. And then you're supposed to give it a little bath to like make the fibers go back together, because these were very curly. And so that was kind of a problem. And the other problem that I had was I did double crochet for this whole thing, and I made it way, 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 way too big. The arms are so long, like they are so long. I just didn't realize how much this was gonna stretch, because I think I used like these as like a template to do this, but it really didn't work out. And this is one of the projects that I've always wanted to redo. And so maybe that will be something that I did. However, I did do a button band on this. I think this was my very first button band that I did. I can do better, because the holes are way too big and the buttons just kept coming out. Oh, I did not realize how big this one was. Look how long these are. Okay, my hand starts here, okay? It is really cute though. I do like the strawberries, but like this is my hands. Well, first off, I would take this whole thing apart. I would redo the entire thing, and I would redo it in probably a half double crochet. Sometimes when it's a single crochet, it's just very tight. So I think I would do it in a half double, like stop there. I would do a longer cuff, and I would do a tighter cuff for the front panels. I think this one here, I did like 2 perfect rectangles and then a huge rectangle on the back and sewed it up. And again, that's how I used to do it. If y'all have been watching me for a while, then you know that I have been going back and fixing the collars on past projects. So what I would do is for the front here, obviously, first not make it as wide. It is way too wide, but I would leave a cutout like this here and a cutout here. Then I would do my own collar, and then I would do some rows of single crochets for the button band. But I would love to go back and fix this one. Nowadays, when I do my sweaters, like this one, for instance, this was my birthday cardigan that I just kind of like made up as I went. I think it's all in a half double. So I didn't do double, I did half double, and I did my button band. I made the holes a lot smaller. Also, what I've done differently from these projects to this one is before I would do ribbing for the button band. Now I like to do single crochets up and down. Once I'm done and it's all sewn together, I'll just go like up and down and do my single crochets. It just looks so much better than the ribbing. The ribbing doesn't look bad, but sometimes the ribbing, it just gets really bulky, and if you try to put like the two pieces together, it's just kind of really bulky in the center. The single crochet is just nice and flat. So that's something that I have changed. And then here's the new collar that I've been doing. So what I've done for the collar is I think I did like it this high, like it was like this high, and then I folded it over and sewed it. So it's like this kind of chunkier kind of collar, and I just think it looks so good. I've also invested in better yarn. So these ones here, they're cute, but they are like just, you know, typical acrylic yarn, probably just like from Loops and Threads. Actually, I don't know what this one is because I thrifted it. But this one here, I believe I used the Broco Vintage, and the colors just look so good. It feels really soft. I believe Broco Vintage is like 50-something% acrylic, 40% wool, and then like whatever the rest of it is nylon. Even though it is acrylic, it's not this heavy acrylic. It's very soft, very lightweight. I really like it. This is the latest cardigan that I crocheted. I'm trying to think if I crocheted anything else besides the Christmas one, but the Christmas one was really just like a redo, like a re-edit. So I really didn't want to like add that one in here. Also, I can't find it right now. It's back there somewhere. This is what I said about the single crochet button band. You see how like nice and flat that is compared to what ribbing is? I would love to wear it like this. The sleeve length is great. I love the puffiness. I actually probably could have made the sleeves a little bit shorter. I never know with my sleeves. I'm always like, it's too short, I need to add more length, and then when I add the cuff, I'm like, probably didn't have to add that more length. It fits so good, and it is so buttery soft. It's the only term that I can think of. This yarn is just so nice, and it is so soft. I love this so much. Like, this is one of my favorite things that I've ever made. I kind of want to wear more button-up cardigans in the future, so that's kind of one of the reasons why I made this one. This is one of the first vests that I've ever made. I did make these other ones, and I just don't know where they are. I think they're in my storage unit right now. I made it out of possibly the worst yarn you could make a vest out of. This was the Craft Smart yarn, which is, I think, an Aran weight yarn, so it's a little bit more thicker than a worsted, but it's also super dense. And the only reason I picked it is because, one, it was a thicker yarn, so I would be able to get it done faster, and two, I really like the color. Like, I really like this pink color. I think it looks really good on me. Wearing this feels like I am wearing a life jacket. It's so heavy, and it's uncomfortable, and I don't like how I look in it. And the thing is I really would like to make more of these now that I know how to knit. I think there's some really good knitting patterns. Maybe one day I'll attempt to knit a vest like this. I also want to point out that I do not want to try this on. I do not want to put this on me, but I will for entertainment reasons. Here it is on. It is so dense. It is so dense. The arms are way too far out. It's just this chunky material. It just sits on me weird, and I don't like it, and I need to get it off of me. Putting my arms down, there's so much fabric here that it is driving me nuts. If I were to redo this, I'd make the arms like low, like this low. So maybe that's something that I do in the future if I want to try and attempt to make a crochet vest that I like. And it feels like I'm wearing a life jacket right now, so I need to take it off. This vest is just so heavy, especially compared to the vests that I make now. This filet crochet one with the cute butterfly on it. This one is by Lemon Ephemera, and it's a little tie-up vest. I like these tie-up vests better because less fabric, and you can just, I don't know, it's just lighter. So I really do like this one here. This one I made last year. I think this was one of the first filet crochet projects that I've ever done. And I also feel like filet crochet is getting very popular this year, even though like I did it last year and no one really liked those videos. So maybe people will watch them now. That's how I felt. I just feel like filet crochet was like starting to become a trend last year, but it wasn't really there yet. And then this year, I feel like a lot more people are doing it. This one was actually done in a nice cotton, lightweight yarn and not a thick acrylic yarn. So there's a difference there. And then I also made this vest here. This one was done with the Broco Vintage. And this is like more of an acrylic, again, acrylic wool. I like how much lighter it is. And again, I did put the little ties in here, which are so cute. I really can't wait to wear this for the summertime and the springtime. I just absolutely love it. I did buy the cardigan version of this pattern, that I'm so excited to start, but I gotta finish the knitted project first before I can do that one. But as you can see how like nice and lightweight this is compared to like how heavy this one is. This vest here is super lightweight, super comfortable. It doesn't even feel like I'm wearing it. It definitely doesn't feel like a life vest. Nice and light, and I like the ties. I like the idea that it's not too constricting, so if I wanted to undo the ties, I definitely could, but then they would just be hanging, so it's definitely a tie-up vest. I mean, like, even like this is super cute, right? I really like this vest. It is very comfortable. I feel comfortable in it. I feel like I can breathe in it. With doing vests, I need to make them out of lighter weight yarn and not so constricting. Also, like the arms, they're not bad at all because they are not super thick right here. The last thing that I want to go over is tapestry crochet. I love tapestry crochet. I love intarsia crochet. I just love making images with yarn. The first one that I have ever done, and I think that maybe it was a little extreme at the time, and that is my Hellfire Club sweater from Stranger Things. This was my very first tapestry crochet, and I had no idea what I was doing when I was doing it. I used a bunch of different yarns. I was trying to use yarn that I already had in my stash because I didn't want to buy more yarn, but this white yarn here was, again, the Craft Smart yarn, which is a thicker yarn, and I don't make my sweaters out of that anymore, so that's another thing that I learned from this. It's so dense. If I were to redo this, I think I would take the sleeves off and just make it all white. And I have learned a lot of different techniques since I made this. So first off, when I was doing this, I didn't have yarn bobbins. I use yarn bobbins all the time. I love my yarn bobbins. I thought I would show you what a yarn bobbin is for anybody who doesn't know. I only started using these 2 years ago, and they are a game changer. They come in different sizes. These ones, I don't know if they make them anymore. I thrifted this one. They still make them in this big size here and this little size. It just all depends on how much yarn you need to put on it. So like that's the size difference. I like using both of them. Also, why are they looking like Gumby right now? These are perfect for intarsia and tapestry projects because they are lightweight and they don't tangle as badly as if you were to use a ball of yarn. Now they do get tangled, but because of how small they are, they're so easy to just untangle. That's why I really like these, because a lot of times with my tapestry and intarsia projects, oh my goodness, I have so many different color switching. When they get tangled up, it is annoying. However, it is really easy to untangle these. And these are really inexpensive. You can get them on Amazon, Michael's, your local yarn shop. I think they are a really great investment to have if you are really into tapestry, intarsia, crochet. I want to show you the inside out so you can kind of see what I did. I had all the yarn still on the balls of yarn. So that was just a disaster trying to crochet this because they were all getting tangled up. This is the inside of it. As you can see, I was pulling the yarn as I went. Like, look at this one. Why would I do this? Why is that even there? I should just cut that, honestly. I probably will. So I felt like when this was happening, it was kind of like cinching in. It wasn't like laying flat. And I was like carrying one yarn over to the other back and forth, and there was a lot of work going on here. Where nowadays I use a yarn bobbin, so each one of these colors would just be on a little bobbin, and it's so much easier just to like move them around, and you don't have a ball of yarn rolling around on you or getting tangled up. Black yarn over here, that would have its own yarn bobbin. This little image here would have its own little yarn bobbin. Like everything would have its own yarn bobbin. Now I know that this is my latest intarsia project, but then I also did make this last year. The reason why I want to bring this one up first is because one, it's adorable, but two, this was my very first time using a thinner weight yarn to do a tapestry project. Normally I would just use a worsted yarn, but this one here I actually did in Hayfield Bonus DK yarn. Love how this turned out. It's just so cute. I do want to redo the handles though, so that's another thing. I love the smallness of this yarn, which meant I could fit so much more details in this. Because if I were to have used a worsted weight yarn, this bag would either have less details and be this size, or have the same amount of details but be like a big old bag, and that's not what I was looking for. I just wanted a small bag. So because I did this in the Bonus DK, that made me buy the Bonus DK to do this one. Because then again, look at all of the little details that I could get in here with this. And if y'all remember, this was supposed to be a tote bag, but I wanted all these little details in here, which made it bigger, and then it became pillow size. So it worked out that it's pillow size, but I was originally wanting this to be a tote bag. It matters what type of yarn you use depending on what you make. I think the DK weight yarn was perfect for these types of tapestry projects because you can get so much more detail in there without it being a very big project. I think that does it for the crochet projects that I wanted to go over with y'all. I know I make so many projects, but I thought I would just really focus on the ones that I really started my channel versus the ones that I have done in the last year, like the different techniques, the different yarn, the different tools and notions. Like when I started tapestry, I wasn't using yarn bobbins, and now I love yarn bobbins so much. It's also kind of nice seeing these projects and being like, you know what, they weren't as bad as I thought they were. Back then I'm like, oh, I could have done this way better, but looking at them, I'm like, that's actually pretty good for somebody who just learned how to do a granny square. I love crocheting, and I can't wait to see what I make in another 5 years. In the comments below, let me know some of the projects that you started off with. Did you just, you know, do some simple washcloths, or were you like me and just went right into making cardigans and sweaters? And maybe like some techniques that you've learned along the way that could be helpful for somebody else, because I'm still learning. The other day I realized that I was doing the join as you go wrong, so I learned something new then, and that's helping me now. I think that does it for this video, so y'all have a good day now.